welcome to Reddit on Reddit, the internet's auditory version of Reddit. I'm Nelson Allingham, joined by Michael Campbell.
Now, Nelson, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but the date today, especially to our American listeners when this is going to come out, is 4/20. So I hope that you've lit up a spliff in celebration and you got nice and baked, because you know how we do.
Yes.
Yeah, but to us here, that doesn't really work because we do the dates day, month, year.
It's the 20th of the 4th.
Yeah.
And as protest to the fact that Americans do it the other way around, I've actually rolled a joint, as they say, with the American flag, and I'm burnt and smoking that. A lot of harmful chemicals in those flags, Cambo.
Also,
but I'll do it out of spite.
I would even say that if we had the dates the other way, and it was 4/20, in this country it would be a celebration of the famous meat pie brand 4 and 20.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
If anything, everybody have meat pie. You know what? Probably more enjoyable. Than weed. I'm not sure. I've never touched the stuff, Cambo.
Well, meat pies, they're good, man. You should give them a go.
Yeah, but mystery meat can't be trusted with that. It is kind of fascinating that Australians just accept there is a meat inside said pies, and we just eat them.
Yeah, and it's kind of like ignorantly bliss. Like the whole nation is ignorantly bliss about what's inside. And frankly, as a nation, we don't want to ever know.
Well, don't tell us. Yeah. Please don't tell us. And that's like dim sims. I never want to know.
They've done well because they just label the meat pie, but they never actually clarify what that is.
Yeah, it could be like we have a brand in Australia that's called 100% Australian beef. Yeah. It doesn't mean the beef is 100% Australian. Yeah. That's just the name of their brand. So I think Australians just in general kind of don't want to know where their meat come from, what it actually is. It's just so long as we've got a label on top of it that ignores what we're actually consuming, it's totally fine. All right, Kimbo. Let's get into it.
Okay, well, Nelson, I would clarify, we don't have to.
Yeah, well,
if you're not feeling up to it, we could just we'll cut now, and this will be the episode. Are you ready?
This is what. Oh, thank God! Thank God!
Oh, we're clear, Nelson. We can talk just normally now.
Okay,
I'm not recording.
You know what I hate? Just all the listeners.
Everyone individually, you said.
Yes. Well, see, okay. Here's the thing. Earlier today, I was working from home, as I do nowadays, and I verbally let out an F word. I won't say that. Obviously, we're a family program.
Yeah.
But because I remembered that we were doing the podcast and I hadn't finished or done really any of the notes, I'm just waiting for the listeners to stop listening. Every day I go onto our podcast website, see how many downloads we've got.
If anything,
I look at it, I go, ugh.
If anything, it's increasing, which is really must be annoying you.
It's so annoying.
Because here's the thing, we refuse to quit. But if people do stop listening, then we can stop.
Yeah, that's right. It's like we've been cancelled. Yeah. You know, we had nothing in the say of it.
Let's just say, in this downtime, if you're a new listener, don't you dare listen to our back catalogue.
Don't you fucking dare.
And if you've been enjoying it, the last thing we want is for you to tell anyone. Don't leave
yourself,
reviews. Don't rate us 5 stars. Do none of it.
Nothing at all. Anyway, because they're still here, I've got one here. This is by Nossos. And this was a video. So you're going to have to just use your imagination.
I'll use my mind's eye.
Yep. But it was titled, "When I became a dad, I asked other fathers for advice. One told me, be the dad you always wanted." And this video was it was actually posted in the subreddit Modern Warfare, which is the newest Call of Duty game, and it's him and his son playing Call of Duty, and it's like some intense gunfights are going on, but it was like this weirdly wholesome video of just like a dad and his son kind of bonding over this video game. And what I like really loved about this was that the advice that he was given, like the advice that if you are a father, be the dad that you always wanted. I just like freaking loved this as like just like that's the best advice I think anybody could give another like to be father. And it's not that my dad was a bad dad. I love my dad. I think he's always been incredibly supportive of me and my siblings. But that idea of like, there's like elements, I think, of when you're a father that you might not think about remembering what you were like as a child with your father, and maybe there's some like extra connections. I mean, for me, it would be video games as well. Yeah. Like with my dad, like he always told me they're stupid and, you know, you shouldn't play them, whatever. He might not be wrong. The video games has not led to a life of success for me, I would say. But just that, you know, sort of concept that if I ever become a father, I think that idea of just kind of embracing those things that your kid really enjoys and then sort of going, like, let's say, heaven forbid, my son or daughter is into football.
Sure. Australian rules football as well.
Soccer would be worse. European football would be even worse, to be honest.
I was mainly thinking about the little short shorts that Australian footballers wear, but you're right. Yeah. European football, much worse.
European football is just, oh, God. But you know what? I'd have to, like, get into it, you know, and try and, I think, have that interest. But it's like, I don't know. I was just really blown away by this advice.
Well, and it's funny. I remember seeing one post. It was actually in r/video games, which is a subreddit for some reason I follow, and I don't know why.
What? That is really weird.
Yeah, it is. But it was someone along the same lines saying that my parents always told me that video games are a waste of time. But now, in this time of lockdown, I actually talk to my son over online gaming almost every night. And I'm so glad that we have that connection and that we have that one common thing that we can share in a time like this. Whereas if we didn't, like, I don't talk to my parents at the moment because they don't have that connection.
Yeah, that's right. Video games brings families together, Campy, is what I'm saying. It also mentally tears people apart. Yeah. But that is a small price to pay, I think.
And I think for like every sibling rivalry that is born out of video games, and I think there are many, maybe there's a father and a son relationship that is repaired. So it tears brothers apart and siblings apart, but it repairs fathers and sons.
If you've got a bad relationship with your siblings, try playing video games with your parents, is what we're saying. I think
it won't fix your sibling relationship, but you've just got a better relationship there with your parents.
Yeah. If you have a good relationship with your siblings, don't start playing video games with them.
No, never.
That's a no-no. I think part of it is that also, see, we live in an age, obviously video games has evolved so much since our parents were kids. And I think part of it now of like the father and son, or father and a parent and child rather, is like the child is normally better than the parent, you know. I think when I'm older, and I mean the world might change and video games might not be so much of a thing to my children when they grow up. But if it is still that way, I think because the sibling rivalry comes from, I think, siblings beating each other, you know, normally like the older one beating the other one.
Yeah.
if I'm going to have a kid, I'm going to beat him a lot at video games without mercy. And it could ruin the relationship, maybe.
Do you think, like, I tend to have the feeling that older parents, like our parents, when they were younger and when we were kids, video games then compared to video games now are really different. So it was a little more antisocial because there wasn't an online aspect or anything. You were corded to the thing, so you had to sit quite close to the TV. So you would tend to be by yourself a lot, sitting really close to the screen with your little remote. And I can see how that seems more antisocial. But now, with like online gaming and like you have a little Dota crew and you always kind of go online with them and you're always kind of talking to them online constantly. Yeah. I think it's a lot more social than they remember it, but they just haven't kind of kept up with it.
Yeah, that's right. You can't be more social than playing video games, is what I got from your statement just then.
I follow r/video games, so I'm pretty in the know.
Yeah, you're pretty up there with the video game chatter and what it means on a philosophical level. I
pwn the odd noob.
Yeah. Boy, Cambo, you are just heavily into video games with lingo like that. You know what you're talking about.
GG, mate. GG.
What's that?
GG. Good game. Easy.
Oh, yeah. Good.
Sorry, I should explain. That's lingo, Nelson. Means good game.
Okay. Right. First time I've heard it, Kevin. I'm barely into video games. I'm more into European soccer. It's really... I love the way they sometimes get a goal.
I love the way that really someone can be like, it was a great game, the score was 2.
Yeah. Or I loved how he took that fall, even though the replay shows he wasn't even close to being hit. What a great game European football is. Also, Kemba, look, I did just want to I feel like if my dad was to listen to this, although I did defend him at the start, he still might think, hey, I haven't connected well with my son. But I just thought that I would put out there to kind of make it up to him that my dad could kick your dad's ass. And let's just leave it at that. And my dad will still love me if he listens to the podcast. I mean, he won't. That's honestly, if we're talking about connection between, parent and child, this is a missed opportunity from him.
Nelson, I got to point out that if he started listening, that's another listener.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad he doesn't, in fact. What a loving father I have. I take it all back. He knows me even better than I know myself. All right. Let's get into Ask Reddit. Ask Reddit.
Should we start calling this Ask Reddit brought to you by Metaphor?
Yeah, I think we should. I mean, eventually he did provide other ones. Which I think... I don't think I used any more in this episode. But, eventually, the whole podcast will be bought by him. But Metaphor cross-posted to our subreddit. But the original post was from Bagdadja. You're tired from the human race, so you decide to help an advanced alien civilization destroy the Earth. What tips would you give them?
They've got a fair chance at the moment with everything that's going on by just spreading misinformation. It really spreads like wildfire. Just be like, tell this group of people this, and then tell this group of people another thing, because they hate each other and they will not listen to each other.
I'm starting to think maybe aliens have already intervened and done that. I'm going to give aliens one of two pieces of advice. Do that. Spread misinformation, or just let it be.
Yeah, just leave us alone. We're so close by ourselves. Let us achieve this.
Yeah, that's right. We're basically on the way out.
Because over the course of however many hundreds of years, humans have eradicated many species from the Earth. And now I guess that just got tiresome. And they're like, I wonder if we could do it to us.
Yeah, that's right. Let's see if we can put us on that list.
We are the most dangerous game to hunt, so they say.
Yeah.
So you need to go with methods that aren't as simple as chasing someone through a forest with a shotgun.
Do you think... Okay, this is my crazy theory, Cambo. Do you think that in order for the human species to survive, we actually need to eradicate most of us so we become an endangered species? Because we look up... There's been so many stories of endangered species that have come back, you know? They're two like remaining species have been bred in some zoo somewhere.
Or maybe that means because normally a creature becomes endangered and humans step in to say, let's help and breed this back into more. Maybe there's two possibilities. One, we're becoming endangered, so we say to ourselves, hey, let's make sure we're breeding or whatever. Or the opposite of what this post actually is, an advanced alien race comes down and goes, we're noticing that you're going extinct. And now we are intervening and we're going to put you in these alien zoos and make sure you breed.
You've really screwed yourself over. I think then the first thing that they would do to like improve life is be like all the what's his name? Media empire man. Shut him down.
Murdoch?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Right. Australia's own. Are you proud of that,
I was
Nelson?
thinking Turnbull for some goddamn reason, which is like a
he
politician.
Is Australian,
So, but
the most feared man in the country, Malcolm Turnbull. Yeah,
that's right.
There's a reference for 10% of our listeners.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to say Murdoch because it makes me think of Daredevil. So
right. The other Murdoch.
The other
Murdoch, which is ironically way closer to Kingpin in that series.
Yeah, that's right. But I think if you're an alien race, you just you just stop that.
Yeah.
You stop all of Murdoch media.
Yeah.
And then honestly, the world will probably be right after that. I think it's like that one thing that's just kind of corrupting all of us.
Yeah.
Get rid of that. We'll be fine.
Does make a lot of money though, Nelson. Just get in on that.
Yeah, mate. Oh, see, that's the risk we run. When aliens come in, they're like, whoa, we've realized that you're killing each other. Oh, what's this? You've got a currency system? What is it? Oh, the more you have, the more stuff you can own. Very interesting.
And they'll be like, it seems that this one Murdoch, not the lawyer, but the mogul one, he seems to have the most of this money. Yeah. And he is causing a lot of problems, so we should stop him. And they go to meet with him, and he's like, do you want some of this money? You can have also some of the most. And they're like, oh, no, that is good.
Yeah. We might introduce this to our home planet. I figured out the problem, Cambo. It's money.
Yeah.
Take money away from people. Oh, wait. This is how we're meant to destroy civilization. I forgot.
Yeah.
Give people more money, but just some.
Just enough. We're the socialist podcast.
You were, yeah. Just the podcasters. This is also some advice I would give some alien life forms trying to destroy the world. First off, any alien movie, you need to know that Area 51 often has the solution to their demise. Okay?
Yeah.
Armageddon being Independence Day. Yeah. Sorry. So I was thinking about number one. Mm-hmm. They go to Area 51. They learn how to disable the technology that's shielding the mothership.
Yep.
Destroy two things. Yeah. First of all, destroy Area 51. Number two, don't link everything to one ship.
The last thing you need is for when we blow up your mothership to all the other ones to just drop out of the sky immediately.
That is just such a terrible idea, a concept of like an invasion.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine if there was like one tank in World War II that was connected to all other tanks? That war would have been over so much faster.
If World War II was written by a lazy screenwriter, that may have been true.
Yeah, that's
being
right.
like, how do we fix this huge problem? Oh, no, what if there's one that fixes everything?
Yeah. Okay, look, how about... the other thing is, don't make it so... Like, if there is one single guy in a plane trying to fly up the center of your mothership, shoot him down.
Yeah. I would also say, look, I know this isn't specific to you, but there's this movie called Star Wars, and they take down this huge, unbeatable ship with an exhaust port. So just make sure you've checked all of your exhaust ports.
Yeah.
Because us as humans, that's a real popular movie. That's the first thing we're going to try.
We're going to look for that. It's like step number 1. All right, let's get the plans of their machine. Is there an exhaust port? Step 2, have they put a grate over that exhaust port? Yes,
our plan fails immediately with a grate.
Yeah, that's all they needed. I mean, that's all they needed. He had one shot. If you had one grate there, it explodes on the grate.
Yeah.
And sure, you've got another hole. But he used his last shot for that.
Yeah. I feel like the guy in charge of the Death Star that was in charge of the budget being like, we don't need grates on the outside of our ship. That's just, do you know how much money we could save by not adding grates to the outside of our exhaust ports? It's millions. Well, that guy's dead, isn't he? He blew up on the Death Star because he didn't have a grate.
That's true. It was either like take one olive out of the executive salads or not have grates on the exhaust ports. Really blew up in their faces, didn't it?
Quite literally.
Here's another one, just kind of for the alien's sake. You know, if I'm on the alien side, if I'm shopping around the universe for aliens, and I'm like, hey, I'm looking for somebody to just destroy the Earth, I'll probably get into meetings with them, board meetings, I imagine, is how this kind of stuff happens. And if there is an alien species that says, hey, we're allergic to water, I'm like, well, you're out straight away.
Yeah. But you would go, great film. I saw a film about this once. Great film.
Terrible film is what I'm going to say, though. I'm going to say this is a terrible film. I don't know why anyone would like this as a film. And the main reason is that if the aliens were allergic to water and we're mainly water, that's a dumb idea. And I imagine the aliens across the boardroom meeting table will say, well, yeah, obviously we wouldn't go to a planet like that. What a dumb movie that is.
We saw that one. We like The Sixth Sense more.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. They're like, why would we leave science in crop circles? Anyway, here's another one, Cambo.
Please.
This is by Sam123786. I think this might have also been cross-posted by metaphor. Like, let's just assume that from now on.
Assume that everything else we're about to say, including our own opinions we've thought about this in the moment, were all cross-posted from metaphor.
It's all by metaphor. Imagine having a reverse Yelp where we rate customers on their attitudes, manners, and how well they tip. What review would you leave?
What review would I leave to customer? We've both done customer service for many years. And in fact, I think that it should be almost an essential thing that you have to do at least like 6 months of customer service work at some point, so you don't become one of these really rude customers. Because I think it honestly does change the way that you interact with customer service people.
Yeah, I definitely agree. But I think maybe this is the bridge between that, Because maybe if we can just rate all customers and they're like, oh my God, I'm getting the same reviews from every place I go. It's not about one review, it's about like multiple reviews.
The problem with this system is that if, say, look, for argument's sake, let's call her Karen, right?
Yeah.
The person getting all these bad reviews. And say Karen, and you know the haircut that Karen has.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know the tone of voice.
Yes.
Gambo.
So say Karen is on 1 star. That's going to do nothing but make Karen more upset, and then she's just going to take that out on customer service people. So you need something like a like consequence to her having a low rating.
Okay, so maybe just like an increased purchase cost wherever
increased
you go.
Purchase cost, maybe increased wait time to be served, something like that. That would incentivize Karen to treat customer service people better. So because without that, you're just going to make angry people even angrier.
Yeah. Here's the problem that I see happening is that we're going to have, if I know anything about Karens, and I and I've had experience with some in the past, is that, do you know what? Just on a side note, I feel really bad for Karens of the world.
That name has just absolutely exploded as a quick scapegoat.
There are 3 Karens that I work with. All of them lovely people. Just the nicest Karens you could imagine. But I think the problem is that if you've dealt with the Karen before, they will email in often or through the complaint section of said website and recount the events in which they did not occur.
Yes.
I was politely waiting, and then I get to the front of the counter, and he yells at me what I want, and that was just so rude.
Yeah.
And so I think that's going to be the problem with this Yelp system is for those people that you're going to get a review on Yelp, and then they will just retell the story from their point of view as a response to the review.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, if the person serving is having a bad day, then maybe they're just giving people bad reviews for no other reason other than to kind of take it out. Maybe, as a whole, we shouldn't review people.
Maybe.
Call me a maniac, but maybe that's leading down some kind of Black Mirror-esque path for which there is no escape.
Or, on the other hand, what if we always rate people about everything? See, I think the problem is only just occasionally rating people, occasionally rating businesses. I think if you rate everybody on everything, then the world would be a better place.
Yes. But again, don't rate this podcast on Apple iTunes.
Please don't. I mean, I suppose if you have to rate it 5 stars, but don't.
If it's essential, like everything now is just essential travel only, essential shopping only. If it's essential that you have to rate the show, obviously then do rate it 5 stars.
5 stars, obviously, but it's the only circumstance that we were at. Here's a thing, actually, I'd like to briefly touch on.
Yep.
Now, we're not American, believe it or not.
Actually,
surprised.
we are. We've been faking this whole time.
Yeah, bloody faking it, mate. Did I do that right?
Yeah. Nailed it.
Okay, good. I was going for a New Yorker.
Yeah, no, you say forget about it, and then you say exactly what you said.
Forget about it,
mate.
Nailed it on the head. But here's the thing that I don't get. He said part of this Yelp system, which, by the way, Australia just doesn't use Yelp.
No.
Just as a quick side note. But he said you should rate the customers on their attitude, manners, and how well they tip. This blows my mind. I do not understand the tipping system.
Yeah.
If I went to America and I'm tipping more than 10%, I don't quite know why. As a tourist, I have plenty of times before because, again, I don't understand the system. I don't want to be one of those jerk non-tippers. But I don't understand what. Isn't it just 10% all the time? Who's tipping more if you don't? And I mean, I don't know.
It's because, Nelson, we can say this from the luxury of a country that has quite good minimum wage, is that somehow someone has convinced Americans that the better system is that they pay them far less and that they earn little bits of extra in tips, and that is the better system.
Yeah, but because we would essentially pay for our, the money still exists in the same way though, right?
Yeah.
So then, shouldn't it either be...
It costs far less to businesses, though, doesn't it? You have to pay your employees less because you're not paying the tips, are you?
Yeah, but I mean, the way it works in Australia is, we probably just have more expensive stuff, but then we get paid more. So, I feel like it balances out. Whereas, why don't they either increase the tip rate, right? If there's such a thing as, how well people tip, then wouldn't you make it a higher percentage or something? I just find it weird that it's like there is this idea of somebody being a better tipper than somebody else.
Yeah, that's true. It's true that like it's weird that it's not a hard and fast number or rule.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
is so like
you can give the standard 10% and people be like, "Ugh, can't believe that."
I think the standard is higher than 10%.
Oh, is it? Yeah, it might be.
Yeah,
It could be. Yeah.
The thing is, we don't know because we don't have it here.
We don't have it yet. But yeah, and I understand tipping for like good service as well. I feel like
we have that. We have that here. If someone does a really good job, you can still go, "Hey man, thanks for that," and tip them. But we just don't have it for like waiters and waitresses doing just an average normal shift.
Yeah,
that doesn't happen. We just pay them a livable wage.
Here's what you should do: tip us.
You should tip us, actually. Yeah, that's a good idea. We'll put our PayPal details in the episode description. Yeah. Just send any money you want.
I think it should be 10% of their current wage.
Oh, so it's an ongoing. Every time you get paid, pop off 10% to us, or just this one wage?
One lump sum would be better.
Because we can't go into it, but we do need cash now.
Yeah.
It's quite essential.
Right. You got to spend money to make money. So if we get a whole bunch of money at once, we can then gamble that and get a lot more money. All right, Camber, let's get into Today I Advice.
So now it's time for Today I Learned.
Today I Learned.
And also sometimes advice.
Nelson, just a quick update because I know that you no longer kind of have the timer in front of you, but we're over the 30-minute mark, so we need to kind of tighten up the pace here.
No, I've got my own timer, buddy. I still check mine.
All right.
Don't you worry.
I am. That's the point. I brought it up because I'm worried.
Okay. This Today I Learned is by 17. Yep. 50. Is it 75? No, wait. That's 67. 69? Is it 69? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I can see now. It's all in Roman numerals.
I don't think it's 69. Anyway, it's Roman numerals. It's XVII-L. L's 50, right?
I think so.
X is 10, 60, 65, 67. I should have gone 69, let's be honest. Anywho, I'm still thinking about it. Anywho, today I learned... Oh, God. Today I learned... We were into speed up, did you say, Camber?
Yeah. I mean, for sure, spend 2 to 3 minutes on each name. Just staring at the screen. Don't even say anything. That's fine.
I'm good at that.
Yeah.
Okay, today I learned Jimmy Carter said if he became president, he would release all government UFO information to the public. Once elected, he decided not to due to national security concerns. What do you think about that?
It's interesting. Like the problem is like there's still too much to read into it to determine like because people would go, oh, that means aliens. Like that's like he went to Area 51. He said, "Tell me the secrets," and they said aliens, but we can't because people will panic or whatever. But they're denying the possibility that he went to Area 51. Is like, what are you covering up here? And they're like, oh my god, in the 60s we killed so many kids. It's crazy how many kids died. And he's like, oh god, no, we can't tell anyone we did that. That's the most horrendous thing that I've ever heard.
But
he said again, I think we've said before that we think that aliens, they're happy to go with aliens because it would cover up what they actually did there.
Yeah. They could blame the aliens slaughtering all these children. How about though? But this said specifically UFO, which is unidentified flying object.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, unless they were like, oh, we released this UFO ourselves and it crashed and killed a lot of children, the two aren't otherwise correlated.
other than that there is a popular conspiracy theory that what they were doing there, and again, conspiracy theory, not fact, that what they were doing there was experimental plane stuff.
Yeah.
And they were saying, like a lot of the documents, because there's the vault, right? Like after a certain amount of years, things can be released and things have to be redacted and stuff still. But what they were saying is what was recovered was a short humanoid form, 3 to 4 feet in height from this craft that crashed. And people are like, well, little aliens. But the conspiracy theory is, what if they had children on these experimental planes that crashed and they were covering up that? Why they were doing that, who knows? But the point is, like, there's more than one possibility than the aliens. But I think people straight away would go straight to aliens. But my mind is that you would cover up any kind of big shame way quicker than you'd cover up aliens.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Why would you get children to fly planes?
Just test it. You got to test it.
Yeah. And they don't have much to live for.
Because when
they probably
the charred
don't have mortgages or anything yet. So.
When the charred body of that 8-year-old does come back and it's laying on the slab, one of them goes to the other. Yeah, so I didn't think they could, but we had to check if they could fly it.
Yeah. There was no way to know otherwise. But all I'm saying, Camber, is that, okay, so first of all, UFO, unidentified. Mm-hmm. If he knew what they were, right? Let's say it is the government. They had this flying saucer that they created, and they had a kid fly it, and the kid died in this plane crash. They know what that is. So somebody would be like, "Oh, what? Have you any news on UFOs?" And he's like, "Well, we identified it because we did make it. So that I don't need to say."
So you're saying at that point it's just a flying object.
It's a flying object.
Yeah.
Why did
Is it the classic, like, there was a big crash and they knew it was the kid flying the experimental plane. And someone goes, my God, what was that? And they're like, I don't know what that was. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well,
that's pretty identified then, isn't it? No, I'd say it's unidentified. I don't know what that was. That's crazy out there.
Yeah. See, people are asking the wrong questions, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think you should say, next president, say, can you release information on identified flying objects that the government has controlled? And then you might get more answers.
Also, I would say that if it was aliens, that is also identified. Now, so what crashed in Roswell? Aliens. We identified that flying object as aliens. But what we won't identify is that kid that died.
Yeah. Okay, but here's the thing, right? Surely Jimmy Carter's like, hey, I'm going to release all government UFO information. And then when he was elected, he said, national security concerns, I'm not going to release this information. Why don't you just say that, like, is nothing, basically?
Yes, that's true.
Why are you still, like, leading people on?
Yeah.
Like, well, there is definitely, guys, there's definitely something. Yeah. I just not going to tell you.
It's like a massive cock tease, right? To be like, I know there's information there and I'm going to find out and I'm going to tell you what it is. And then he walks out like, oh, like he's gone pale. He's like, found out what it is. I'm not going to tell you what it is. It's like, you're right. It'd be better to be like, hey, it turns out it was nothing. And everyone's like, oh, well. Yeah. But now he's like, oh, there is something, to be clear. And I will not tell you what it is.
Yeah, because, oh boy, it's a big one.
Do not look into it. I know I've just made it way more tantalizing by saying I found out what it is and now can no longer tell you what it is. But must be clear, do not look into it.
Yeah. It just goes to show that presidents are idiots. We would run the country far better.
Or that, like, presidents don't have complete control like people think they do. So obviously he's been like, what's the secret? Like, well, it's this, but I am actually technically above you in security, so you cannot tell anyone. He's like, oh, what?
Yeah. It's the Illuminati, Cambo. They're the ones that run the show.
Yeah.
Anywho. Yeah, Cambo, this is what I promise to you and all the listeners. If I ever become part of the Illuminati, I will release UFO information.
Yeah, that's good, actually. Should we make that a campaign that we want to join the Illuminati?
How else do you get hired from them? I don't think they take, like where would you send a resume? I think
No. I don't think you sent a resume, but I just think we start the Whispers now, and if any one of our listeners, because it is growing every day, much to our fury, our listenership. If one of them maybe is connected to the Illuminati, they know we want in.
Yeah. That's right. That's what I'm saying. You can't. There's no resume you can send out, so you just have to kind of like put feelers out, put a little bit of stuff out there. You know.
Maybe we'll do every month. We'll check in where we're at with the Illuminati.
Okay. Yeah. We'll do an Illuminati update. We'll get rid of podnapping. We'll put in the Illuminati update. We'll say if we've gotten any higher.
Yeah.
But see, here's the problem, Cambo. If we get into the Illuminati, you can't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Then in our Illuminati segment, we'll have to be like, can't get in.
Let's just say this without breaking any rules. Wouldn't it be interesting if the Illuminati updates stopped? That's all I'm going to say, Nelson.
We've found a loophole before it's even a problem.
And to be clear, if we never come back to this Illuminati update, it's not because we forgot about it.
Think you guys know. A wink. All right. Here's another one. Time Master, apparently. How are we going for time? Do I have to check in with you now?
We're about 40 minutes, Nelson.
We've got so much time, Kevin.
Okay, I'll allow it.
Okay, here's another one. This is by Nine Blue.
No, wait, just take a little longer on that name.
What's that?
Just take a little longer on the name, as you're wont to do this episode.
Well, you know what? I'd like to explain to people that they might be thinking it's the number 9. Incorrect. NINE _ not the color, the word.
That was important that you did it.
You're welcome, everybody. Advice. I want to have a Zoom party, but is it a good idea?
Well, it depends. If you're trading like top secret information, maybe not, because it's apparently not the most secure server in the world.
Apparently.
If it's just you and your friends playing D&D or something, who cares?
No, well, okay. This is where our opinions differ. Okay, no, playing D&D, it's good for that, actually. Yeah. Here's what I think you need to know when you're before the Zoom party is what you're going to do while on the Zoom call. Very important, I think, because in fact, we've been in Zoom calls before, and hey, it's good to catch up with friends. I'm not denying that when you're in a time where you can't physically see them. But quite often, there'll just be like long silences, and it'll be like, what are you guys been up to? And nobody's been up to anything, Cambo.
Yeah.
You don't need to ask that question.
Yeah.
It's the same. Do you know what it's become? It's like when you ask that question, what you're really asking is like, what other weird observations have you found out since COVID-19 has locked us all inside?
Yeah.
And it's like, I saw some kids playing at the park the other day. I think they got a bit
sure,
cheeky.
they're in the same household because there's restrictions on that. Yeah.
Yeah,
or like even the other day, Stacey and I take our daily walk. Mm-hmm. And I was like, look, this isn't a trap, but are you looking forward to going out with someone that isn't me eventually, like your friends or something? And she's like, I am, but even just to the fact that when I come back, I can tell you about it because I'll have something to tell you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's like there's nothing.
And this is something I don't think our American listeners will be as over, but Zoom. So there's an Australian comedian called Hamish Blake, one half of the Hamish and Andy duo. And he's been doing this thing on social media. He plays a game called Zoom for One More, where he just randomly joins Zoom meetings and then just waits until people work out that he's there. So he's done it to like officers. I think he joined an online F-45 class and stuff like that. But the problem was that he crashed a meeting of the Defence Force that were using Zoom. And now all of the Australian Defence Force are now banned from using Zoom because it's not a secure network.
That is so nuts. Okay, sort of funny. In my line of work, what I'm doing for work at the moment, there is sensitive information, I'll say, that can be used. And we had been advised heavily not to use Zoom and a few other services because they were like, these are not safe. This is not a good idea. So I'm very surprised that he managed to get it on a meeting for them. That's hilarious. But yes, I think, this is what I'm thinking. And I did this, I think, with you as well and some of our friends. There is a great website. This is my recommendation. There's a great website. It's called Scribble. It's like SKRIBBL.io, I think it's called. And it's like a Pictionary online.
Yeah,
and it's just
it's really fun
thing to do. Once you've asked everybody what they've been doing, which will go for approximately 30 seconds, you can get into just some fun online games and stuff.
Yeah.
It provokes conversation that's a little bit different because you're doing something. You're making fun of each other for the stupid images people are doing, the stupid guesses people are making.
Yeah, that's a solid recommendation. Actually, we've actually we've since used your recommendation, Nelson, with other people when we're catching up. We use the same thing. Yeah. I would say as well. Look, obviously, we said we don't want people rating the show, but if you're going to rate us 5 stars, I think the call to action this week should be not leave a negative review of a place, but tell us whether our friend Andrew should shave his head or not.
Yes. Please, for
we
the
are
love of
trying
God.
to slowly in isolation convince our friend Andrew to shave his head. And we want to wear him down. And if we can show that the public also wants Andrew to shave his head, and he's got a good head of hair, he's got a great haircut.
There's a few people I think that I know, like male friends that are like, they have like a distinctive hairstyle or something, you know. You couldn't imagine them with the different style of hair. He's one of them, and I really want him to shave it off. So I know it means nothing to you listeners, nothing at all, but if we get him to do it, we'll show you a photo and we're just like, this is great, greatest thing that's ever happened.
We'll get him to film himself crying as it comes off.
Yeah. But Canberra, I've never thought about exploiting the listeners like this before. Nah, it's a lie. I think about it all the time. I just haven't found the right way to do it yet.
Now we have.
Okay, Canberra, let's get into shower thoughts.
Shower thoughts, shower thoughts, shower thoughts, shower thoughts.
This shower thought was shared to us, not cross-posted, but shared to us by Zachary, and it was by Al Vector. If you love milk but don't like dark chocolate, you actually like sugar more than chocolate.
I mean, yeah. I don't know. I don't know if the logic is necessarily airtight, but yeah, I guess. What do you think of this?
I think that's exactly true, Camber, and you're afraid to admit it.
That I like sugar more than milk? Yeah, of course. I love sugar.
It's
highly addictive.
More than chocolate.
Have you ever... I love sugar more than chocolate.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, yeah, but one of the main factors in chocolate is sugar, and I'm very aware of that. It's not like I'm eating chocolate ignorant to the fact that it's loaded with sugar, being like, I don't know what makes it so good. And like, have you ever had unpasteurized milk?
Yeah, delicious.
No,
it's creamy.
It's unpasteurized milk. Like, there's a reason people add sugar to it, and yeah, like of course people love sugar, but I like sugar in a variety of different things. Doesn't necessarily mean I love sugar raw.
So you love sugar, is what you're saying, raw,
yeah,
and
of course
nothing
I do.
else, and you just eat it by the spoonful, Camber.
But I'm saying like,
disgusting.
but I'm saying that like sugar is like a highly addictive thing, like really ridiculously addictive thing. So it's not unusual for someone like, oh, you love sugar, don't you? Yeah, of course, it's super addictive.
Well, so is cocaine, Camber, and I don't do that. So,
but if you did start doing it and it was socially acceptable, you'd probably do it a lot.
I'd probably mix it with chocolate, honestly.
Yeah, that would be good, actually.
No, I look, I was just winding you up a bit, Camber, because there's, in fact, Zachary sent a screenshot of this one that also included some comments. And the comments said, I don't actually have who the comments were by. Whoopsies. Oh, well. If you like pickles but don't like cucumbers, you actually like vinegar more than cucumbers. Or if you like roasted chicken but not raw chicken, you actually like the heat from your oven more than chicken.
Yes. See, exactly. Like the point is like that sugar is a factor, but it's not all that makes it.
Yeah. And but also at the same time, okay, not that I know everything. In fact, the heat in the oven for the chicken, and I guess probably the same with the sugar, is like it actually changes the molecular structure. I know the heat definitely does. I'm not sure whether like combining ingredients. Actually, it probably does too, because you can get weird like compounds of chemicals and stuff when you mix them together. But which then like drastically changes the flavor anyway. Yeah. So it's like cocoa by itself, disgusting. Nobody eats that ever. That is just so gross. I remember doing it when I was a kid, when you're like making a cake or something, a chocolate cake, and you're like, oh, I'm going to have a spoonful of this cocoa. This will be delicious. Oh, so disgusting. In fact, Nelson, the first person who put sugar with chocolate was the most genius person in the world.
Nelson, I've taken slowly, because I like dark chocolate, and slowly my percentages have been going up and up. Mm-hmm. So I'm currently eating 97% dark chocolate. So I'm going to be honest, I'm not far from just eating cocoa at this point. I may as well be.
But the other 3% is sugar, and I feel like it's one of those things where you don't need that much to have a big impact.
Oh, yeah.
It's like if you have cereal, like maybe you've got some rice bubbles or something that's like sort of plain, or Wheat Bix in Australia is a famous one. It's just like kind of wheaty biscuits. Things. And
it's in the name, isn't it?
Kind of like Wheat Bix. And like you put a bit of sugar on top of that. Normally, some people have it with fruit as well, but obviously sugar. Like you're only probably putting on like 1% sugar, but it makes it 100% better. So I think that's the secret. Put sugar or cocaine on what
either
you're eating.
Will do. Either will pep you up.
It's just so delicious.
Sugar obviously a little cheaper.
yeah.
If you're on a budget, just stick with sugar. But if you got money to spare, sprinkle cocaine.
Bit of cocaine.
Just 1%.
Here's another one. This is by Spoken Word Jazz. Big Cereal told us that candy with milk on it is a good way to start the day, and we all liked the idea too much to question it.
Well, yeah, I just think that Big Cereal started the slogan. I think, but I know Big Cereal started the slogan, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. It is in the fact that when you think of what breakfast is, break your fast. Yes, it is important to have something to break your fast that is nutritious, but breakfast as it is seen as like cereal or bacon and eggs or whatever.
The morning meal.
Yeah, it's kind of. In fact, I think last week Eden was quite surprised that neither of us really eat breakfast. We just kind of wait until about midday and then eat something there.
Yeah,
but I think that the fact that they've fooled for so long, people being like, oh, if you don't have cereal for breakfast, you're fucked for the day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I do love that. I mean, kind of just along the lines of sugar, and I mean, I just said sugar on Wheat Bix before, which is like, it's such a funny idea because it's like the one cereal in Australia, right, that probably has the least amount of sugar. Just these wheat biscuits. They put some milk over, but then they're kind of like, they've done the smartest thing. They've kind of like washed their hands of responsibility.
Hey, we've given you a healthy brick.
That's right. What you do with it is up to you. You could put sugar on it. We're not saying you should. But like almost 100% of people do that, or some sort of
Well, see, I'm surprised because I'm not a sugar on my Wheat Bix guy.
Do you have anything on your Wheat Bix? I actually...
yeah, chops. You know what? Like, lately I've been on my oats. It's honey, which is essentially just sugar, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I mean. I mean,
like
some people will put just sugar, plain sugar on it, but other things like honey's a big one
something sweet. A lot of people like bananas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But again, fruits just packed with sugar anyway. Like a popular one is strawberries. But I mean, strawberries are just loaded with sugar.
Yeah, that's right. There's actually what I found funny the other day was I was decided to eat Nutri-Grain, right? And for those who don't know, Nutri-Grain was like a cereal that's advertised as Iron Man food, and it's sponsored by Iron Man competitions, or they sponsor the Iron Man competitions.
Not the superhero Iron Man, but the competitive athletes Iron Man.
Iron Man, yep, where they do like big swims and marathons, like triathlon type thing, and so it's seen as like this healthy thing. It gives you iron as well, I think, is their big thing. Yeah. Hence sponsoring Iron Man, whatever. And I had it for the first time, I reckon, in like 20 years, probably, a little while ago. And it is the sweetest cereal I've ever had. I cannot believe that it's just basically candy, like this shower 13 bucks. It's like just so sweet and disgusting.
Nelson, the fact that like when you look back at Nutri-Grain, it's glossy. Which is not a texture that a healthy thing should be. Apart from maybe
apples,
I was going to say apart from maybe like an apple, but like it's glossy because it's got like a sugar coating. But I will say this: we're talking about the sugary breakfast that we have, but our American friends do beat us hands down in this regard.
Oh my god!
Last time I was over there, which was just last year, we went hunting in the cereal aisles for the worst we could find. And there's like Lucky Charms, which is the ones with the marshmallows in it. And there's Lucky Charms Just Charms, which is just the marshmallow. But the worst one, worse than the Reese's Pieces cereal, which was just Reese's Pieces, was it was by Hostess, who make Twinkies and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was just miniaturized sugar, like powdered donuts. And you just pour milk on it. Like it's just a bowl of donuts.
Sounds delicious, Cameron.
It does sound very delicious.
I want to, one day in my life, I want to start a morning with a bowl of donuts. That is going to be a great day. Let me tell you. Up until about midday, where I just crash from the sugar come down. But yeah, that is insane. I mean, we got Fruit Loops is the worst that we have.
Yeah.
Which is like some sort of color, sugary, wheaty thing. I mean, that's basically candy, but yeah, that's
Fruit Loops,
true.
Cocoa Pops, things like that.
Oh yeah, Cocoa Pops, yeah. All right, Camber, let's get into podnapping.
Oh my god, I'm being podnapped! Podnapping.
This is Podnapping, where we nap a pod. We take a topic of conversation or a segment from another podcast, and we do it ourselves.
Yes, and I recently reached out to people on various mediums, whether it's social media or Reddit or anything like that.
Whoa, Cambo, you're not engaging the listeners, are you?
Look, only because I needed sweet content, Nelson.
I would like to avoid the content and the listeners.
Sorry, I
if you
shan't
didn't
do it again.
that. Two birds with one stone. Really.
I shan't do it again. I've already made a list of other podnappings now, but that's the last time, I swear.
Go through those and then that's it.
But I reached out and said, like, what do people? I'm running out. What do people think is a good show? What do they want us to see as podnap? A friend of mine, Sean, suggested the Rewatchables, which is actually very up my street, and a podcast I've only just recently gotten into myself. So I thought that would work well. The basis of the Rewatchables is that they rewatch a very, very like popular rewatchable film, and they kind of look at it through like a modern lens, and they see, is it actually rewatchable, or is it kind of better left to nostalgia kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I had sent you a film to watch as home. You had homework for this, Nelson.
God.
Which is
first I have to do the show notes, then I have to do homework for this podcast.
So the show that we're going to be podnapping is the Rewatchables, and the film that we're going to be talking about is Rush Hour. So full spoiler alert, I guess, for Rush Hour, because we'll probably get into spoilery details. That being said, it's more than 20 years old. I'm sure most people, if you're going to have seen it, you probably have seen it. Yeah. But we're going to play a little clip from Rush Hour, and then we'll get into the Rewatchables. You ready?
Yep.
Detective James Carter loved his job just a little too much.
You destroyed half a city block.
That block was already messed up.
And you lost a lot of evidence.
Still got a little bit left.
But the job got a little too dangerous.
You have 29 minutes left.
I got everything under control.
I want to speak with my daughter.
Han was about to get his daughter back and you screwed it up.
I would like one of my people to help.
Now it's time to bring in the master.
Please tell me you speak English. Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
From New Line Cinema. The fastest hands in the East.
Wow.
Meet the biggest mouth in the West.
Just received a threat on the building. We ask you please exit the building. Do not panic. Did you hear what I just said? Get the hell out of here. It's a bomb in the building.
Jackie Chan.
I can't hold that anymore!
Just hang on, man. I'll be right back.
Chris Tucker.
FBI, take a picture. It's okay. Wait a minute.
Rush Hour.
We can hang in my crib. I will show you my hood.
What the hell did you just say?
So, Rush Hour, released in 1998, stars Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan, and directed by the Me Too accused sexual harasser Brett Ratner. It was made for $33 million, Nelson, and made $244 million from that.
Wait, sorry, how much did it cost?
It cost $33 million and made $244 million.
It's a good profit.
It made a good chunk of change.
Yeah.
So that trailer is so
I think 30 million
1990s.
of that just went to Jackie Chan.
And Chris Tucker, which we'll get into later. So I love, first of all, just even the trailer is the most
Oh my
90s
God.
thing.
It's the best.
We've lost the art, I think, of having the voiceover guy. That's not really a thing anymore, but you need that guy being like, Nelson Allingham was just a regular guy.
Yeah. And the kind of like techno tune in the background, like the electronica. I miss that so much.
How do we represent that Jackie Chan is from China? Well, when we introduce him, have a big gong.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that was pretty funny, actually.
It was only a record scratch away from being every cliche in a trailer. It's like, but he's about to find out, you know.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So close.
So, how long had it been since you watched Rush Hour last, and what did you think of it when you rewatched it?
Can be just the other day, just probably hours ago. When did I watch it? Yesterday at like midday.
And prior to that, when do you think was the last time you'd seen it?
Oh boy. Actually, I do remember like buying the Rush Hour DVD. Would have been in the, I reckon, 2010 or 11.
Right. Yep.
I think I bought Rush Hour 1, 2, and 3.
Yep. As a multi-pack, I'm assuming.
No, I don't think so. I think
you bought them individually.
Yeah, I went through a phase of just buying a lot of DVDs. I'd go to JB Hi-Fi because I was like, I'm going to build up a DVD collection that I'll keep for life. So I'm pretty sure I watched it then.
So it's probably been about 10 years odd.
About 10 years, roughly.
Right. And so the next question is, what did you think of it watching it again?
I loved the shit out of this movie.
It is so good.
I think it's so good. I think Chris Tucker is great. Although, admittedly, my memory of Rush Hour was that they were better Jackie Chan bits.
Which
I thought was funny.
Yeah, and I don't think there's necessarily one big memorable fight scene. There are fight scenes, and they're all quite good.
Yeah.
But in the sequels, there are really standout set pieces. But in the first one, there's not one necessarily like, oh, that is the one you have to watch.
Well,
So go on.
I was just going to say, like, I remember one of those scenes in my mind was the scene where he's trying to protect the vase.
Oh, yeah.
This big vase. And in my mind, that was just like such a longer scene. and I think that's iconic. I think people kind of even joke about when they talk about Jackie Chan is like him protecting a vase while he's fighting. I think that kind of became like an iconic scene of his in a way. And maybe because of that, iconic kind of thing, in my mind, it became a lot bigger. But then when I saw it, I was like, oh, it's just kind of over.
It happens quite quickly, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's something that they do on the Rewatchables, which I quite like. They ask a series of questions of every film that they watch. So I've got the questions here, and I want to get your opinions on these as well. So question 1, what has aged the best?
Jackie Chan, probably.
Well, you know what I have here? I have the chemistry between Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker.
Oh, right. Okay.
It's so good.
Yeah.
And it sometimes, I don't know if you ever get this, but you'll rewatch an old movie that you liked as a kid and you're like, oh, there's actually like the chemistry between these two is not that good or what have you.
Yeah,
but genuinely
hammed up or something like that, I feel like is what you can sometimes experience when rewatching old stuff.
The duo of Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan still holds up as one of the great buddy cop pairings ever.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, honestly, this movie makes me... I'm sure we're going to get into Chris Tucker a bit later, but he does such an amazing job. I would compare like his... the type of character that he is in Rush Hour is like Eddie Murphy in Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah, definitely.
But I actually think he does a way better version than Eddie Murphy, which people might be like horrified by, but I really think he does. Like the quick talking is just very sort of smooth. He gives you this sense of his character so quickly. Like the first scene you see him, he's talking to this guy who's selling C4 out of the back of his trunk, and like just the fast pace, like he's like bullshitting this guy. He's like, you're late, and he's like, what are you saying? I was in the back of the diner. I wasn't late. You late. I've been here forever. And it's just like so quickly, the way that he delivers his lines, not even necessarily just what he's saying, really sets up his character so well. Like you just have an instant understanding for who like the type of person that he is.
Yeah, most definitely. I also think that one of the things that's actually aged really well in this movie is something that people are very conscious of these days and people are actively trying to do, which is have two leads that are not white guys.
Yeah.
Now it's actually it's like an initiative where people are like, we need more diversity.
Yeah.
But more than 20 years ago, you had two like minority leads in a big action blockbuster movie, which is actually rarer than you think if you look back at other films from the same year that this came out.
How about Ninja Turtles, Scambo?
That's true.
That came out around the same time. So.
A little earlier, but I take your point.
Yeah.
But it's funny that this film, and actually the other one is Bad Boys with Martin Lawrence and Will Smith.
Yeah.
They fought very hard to make sure that it was Martin Lawrence and Will Smith. It was meant to be like John Lovitz and Chevy Chase or something like that.
Right, yeah.
Like way more traditional buddy cop thing. And I actually think even though that film hasn't aged that well, there's a lot of homophobia in it.
Right, yeah.
It actually, it was very progressive at the time and was seen to stand out. And I think that's something that people don't really talk about in Rush Hour that I think has aged really well. In 2020, people look back at a lot of problematic films.
Yeah.
But this one actually weirdly skirts a lot of it.
Yeah, in fact, there was a lot of I was expecting a lot more racism in general.
We'll get to that, Nelson.
But okay, yeah. Well, let's save that.
Well, the next question is, what has aged the worst?
Again, one thing that I thought at the start of the film, straight away, I thought was so funny was they're sitting at a table and they're like, oh, a big bust has just gone down, and they raise their glasses and they say, Hong Kong forever. Technically that hasn't aged well.
Yeah. I also think there's a lot of casual racism in the movie, and it's played off as a joke. And I think that for the most part, it's kind of all in good fun. However, there is a scene that I guarantee would not be in the 2020 version of Rush Hour, which is a scene in which Jackie Chan goes to a bar, misunderstands slang with being the N-word, and repeats it many, many times, starting a bar brawl. Yeah. And I think the bar brawl is actually really fun and the scene's quite funny, but I don't think that would be in a 2020 version of this movie. I don't think that scene would have made it. I think it would have been cut.
Yeah, that could be true, but which I honestly think is a shame because they weren't
context
being
of the
racist.
joke is
They just said the N word, which is probably why you're right. They would take it out of today's films, but I don't think that scene actually warranted anything negative, and it was just kind of like this misunderstanding of a foreigner in America, and
nor do I. I think that context is important, and the joke is that he is ignorant to like this cultural slur because he's so unfamiliar with America. But I think that wouldn't necessarily matter nowadays, and if it could offend someone, and it could, they would just straight up take it out.
How about in The Revenant? No, what was the one with Brad Pitt? No, not Brad Pitt. Leonardo DiCaprio, and he was playing a white.
Django Unchained.
Oh, Django Unchained.
Yeah.
He said the N-word.
He did. That is specifically a movie about slavery. I think context is a little more. But yeah, my point is I reckon that would have been taken out in all kinds of studio revisions.
Not in a comedy.
Yeah,
probably.
So I just put a note here. It just says baggy suits.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a lot of really baggy suits in this movie.
I don't mind that style, Camber. Bring it back.
You don't mind the baggy suit?
Bring it back. I think it was kind of cool. There's like just uniqueness about it, I think. That, it's kind of interesting. And he has this really cool suit, actually. Chris Tucker, when he first becomes like an FBI guy, or he comes in, and he's got this really cool suit on, and he's got those like typical kind of like Oakley sunglasses. Really thin. I was like, these are just very 90s.
Yeah. It's like, because this was from 1998, and they are the most 1998 glasses you'll ever see.
yeah, that's right.
So next question, Nelson.
Yep.
It's a question they pose. It's called Apex Mountain, which essentially means, is there an actor in this for which this is their Apex Mountain? This is as good as it gets. This is the thing that defined them as an actor. Is there an Apex Mountain here?
I think absolutely, without a doubt, Cambo, this was Jackie Chan's pinnacle, obviously.
Yes, definitely. Of the two, it's Jackie Chan.
It's Jackie Chan.
No, obviously it's Chris Tucker.
Obviously it's Chris Tucker.
To the point,
I think, right? If I see an actor do an amazing job in a film, I imagine straight afterwards, although admittedly there was 2 and 3, so I imagine straight after 3, Chris Tucker bought as many drugs as he could physically hold, and he went to downtown LA and just did all the drugs, and he is probably not on this plane of existence anymore. That's kind of how I imagine most people in that role. Like, you know that chick from Grey's Anatomy?
Oh,
she just did Grey's Anatomy.
Pompeo. Yeah.
And that, I imagine
Pompeo.
She's done the same thing. Just didn't do anything else.
Nelson,
I mean, she's probably living a great life, but to me, she's a drug addict in non-existence anymore.
Nelson, she's still on Grey's Anatomy. That show is still on.
Is it still going? What the hell?
She's still making money.
Oh my God, Cambo. We need to stop this podcast immediately.
She
I've got some Grey's Anatomy to catch up to.
She must drive to work in a gold car. She just has that much money. But
I can't believe, I legitimately thought that show was over. I'm like so blown away they're still going.
So the point with Chris Tucker is that he made so much money from Rush Hour because specifically they weren't contracted for sequels. So when the sequels came around, they had to pay really big.
Yeah.
And he made so much money from Rush Hour. After Rush Hour 3, he just stopped. Yeah. Like he consciously was just like, I'm done. I don't need to. I'm just going to stop. So he was like a real rising star. And in fact, another really rewatchable that we rewatched recently was The Fifth Element, which he is also really, really good in. He is the radio DJ that won't leave Bruce Willis alone towards the end of the movie.
Right.
And he was in like Friday. He was in The Fifth Element. He was in a lot of like these kind of supporting roles and becoming really big. And then he hit it big and then he just cashed out.
Yeah.
To the point where you look at his filmography, and between Rush Hour 3, he's done nothing until the movie Silver Linings Playbook just a few years ago.
Oh, really? I actually never watched that. I didn't even know.
There's nothing between them. Yeah. And the reason he has now come back, try and guess why he's come back to acting occasionally.
because he ran out of money.
He lost all his money. No, he now owes the federal government several millions of dollars.
Oh my God.
And it does not surprise me that now they've announced Rush Hour 4.
Oh my God. Cambo, I'm ashamed and appalled and very much looking forward to Rush Hour 4.
But yeah, he had it all and he lost it all, and now he is like he legitimately owes the government money now.
Do you know what I will never understand? I will never understand how somebody can have millions and millions of dollars and then not just lose it all, but then be in extreme debt afterwards.
Yeah.
Like, how do you... I don't know how you managed to do that. I guess I'll find out one day.
One day. So the last question they like to ask, most rewatchable scene.
Yeah, this is a bit a tricky one, I reckon, because
I have a technicality here. Because it doesn't technically count, but I think you'll agree that the most rewatchable scene in this movie is the bloopers at the end.
Yeah.
Watching him attempt and fail, which is the Jackie Chan staple. At the end of a Jackie Chan movie, you stick around because there's a blooper reel in which he attempts and fails his stunts many times.
Yeah, and people kind of laughing as he's like, oh, that really hurt my hand, or something like that. You're like, he's just a regular guy doing fucking incredible stunts.
Yeah.
That's what you want to watch all the Jackie Chan movies for. He's like, you get through the movie so you understand the context of the bloopers. That's like really what happens.
And this is why I respect Jackie Chan so much. There is there's like a scene, like in Police Story, for instance, where he flicks a pen with his feet, catches it in his hand, and keeps writing.
Yeah.
And that's an impressive thing to be able to do. And people are like, man, I wish I could do that. And his whole point is, you can do that because we did that like 100 times.
Yeah.
Until I did it.
Yeah.
You could do it. The point is, do you have the patience and the time to do it? Because then we just used the one that I did it.
Yeah. So what you're saying, Cambo, is
we're all as good as Jackie Chan, yes.
If I was to jump from one fire escape to another, I could easily do it. But I might fail 99 times before that.
99 times, you might fail and hurt yourself. But on that 100th time, we'll just use the 100th take and you look pretty cool.
Yeah. I'll be bloodied and bruised and missing some of my spine from all the previous falls. But in the end, I'll look pretty cool. Jackie Chan seriously, like, just still amazes me. I think his whole career has been so interesting, like just the way that he obviously is a very disciplined kind of martial artist and really kind of perfected his sort of form, and then also turned that into stunting. I was going to say stunt doubling, but he doesn't have a double. So
stunt singling,
stunting. And then that kind of transition from like just martial art films into like comedies and stuff.
And that's the thing. I think it's true of him and like Schwarzenegger and people like that, where they're not the best actors in the world, but you completely forgive their lack of range because they're so charming, one, and talented, two.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But yeah, I just to recap, super loved this movie, and if you haven't seen it for a long time, definitely worth a watch.
It's on Netflix, at least here in Australia. It's on Netflix.
Yeah, and honestly, doesn't age anywhere near as badly as I thought it would, because I think definitely going back to some of these films that you think might not hold up kind of ruins it to you when you go back. But this, like, is just, I really just enjoyed it from the get-go.
In fact, just going back a little bit, you know what's aged well in this film? They've got a great henchman. He's kind of like peroxide blonde Asian guy.
Yeah.
He's like a great movie henchman. Yeah. He gets scarred at one point. He's got the iconic scar. He's got the blonde hair. I also think Apex Mount for him, because I know he went on to be in like Lost and stuff. But
Right.
I just shout it. I think he's awesome. I really liked him.
Yeah. He was cool. Yeah. Definitely. Also, that little girl. Do you reckon that little girl's in anything? She actually did pretty well for a little girl.
That's
actor,
true. Not
actress.
super annoying, which is the curse of most child actors.
Yeah, which was kind of funny because she was like sort of meant to be a bit annoying, but she wasn't annoying to watch. She was just kind of meant to be like a little bit of a pest kind of thing to like Jackie Chan at the start kind of hits
Yep.
him and gives him a bit of crap. But like,
So-
surprisingly, she does a really good job for a child actor.
I found her here. She has 2 credits on her IMDb. One is Rush Hour in 1998, and then a short film in 2001. So she hasn't gone on to have a flourishing career.
So that was her pinnacle.
Yes, yeah, that was her Apex Mountain.
Apex
I haven't
Mountain,
I haven't seen the short film 3 Exits, and maybe it's just as good. But I'm going to say that Rush Hour is probably her Apex Mountain.
Yeah, bro. Maybe she's like Chris Tucker, but just did it better. She just made tons of money, and that was it.
Yeah, she made $25 million, and then she didn't lose it all.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway, yeah, that was the Rewatchables, and that was our podnapping of it. No need to listen to the real podcast now. You've heard it even better.
We've done it. We've done it again. Canberra, this is such a long episode now by the time we finish with the AMA, but I don't even care that we spoke that long about Rush Hour.
And we can't stress enough. Watch it. It's really good.
Watch the movie. It's great. Okay. So now it's time for the Ask Me Anything, where listeners of the show, just like you, listener, can write in and ask us anything you want.
Yeah, I got one here from Zachary. It's written in. It says, Dear Nelson and Michael, it's really very rare that people call me Michael on this show, but I do appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I didn't even think about that.
Dear Nelson and Michael, what is the most rebellious thing you've ever done at school? Example, in school, the teacher often says to raise your hand if you want to speak. So you do, you raise your hand and you speak to your friend.
Ha! Classic. Classic.
Salutations from Canada, Zachary. P.S. I love your podcast, but why is it AMA if you're 2? It's a good point. For a brief period there, we were addressing it as Ask Us Anything.
Yeah.
But that's not what the subreddit's called.
I mean, we if there's one thing about this show, we follow the rules of Reddit specifically. We use their logo.
Yeah. I had to find out the official Reddit font.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say that we're using the exact same font that they're using, but it's very similar, isn't it?
Yeah. Whenever we use that orange color, it's definitely the same tone.
Maybe. Who knows? Who
Anyway,
knows? What lawyer could possibly say?
Let's delete this part of the episode for future proofing. We might end up being $1 million in debt.
Yeah. Oh, this is how it happens.
Okay, so what was the most rebellious thing you've ever done at school?
Yep. So I think we've covered this briefly on the show before, but I did used to rob the school to the tune of many hundreds of dollars. Very regularly. I believe I've explained the system in which we used to rob the vending machines every morning and then give the money back to the school for our lunch.
Yeah, that's good. But then didn't you also have this system where you had the students be doing the cash handling in the canteen? What a terrible idea that was.
Yeah. Just in case people have not heard, in my high school they had like an experimental ninth year campus. And part of it was they wanted to take more responsibility, and they did that in various ways. But one of them was that we had like the canteen or the tuck shop or whatever you want to call it. And then they said, well, maybe we'll let the students work in it. They take shifts. But what they didn't do was put any supervision in. So, yes, not only did we used to rob the school many hundreds of dollars every week by robbing the vending machines, just blatantly robbing them, but then every student also fundamentally robbed the school again when it was their shift to work.
Yeah. I remember you telling me a story where your friend Jai was working. And you went up
one of the
and
worst.
you're like, I'll have a couple of potato cakes. And he's like, great, that's 60 cents. So you give him like $3 in coins or whatever, or $2.
You'd order a big luxurious meal and he'd go, I don't know, $2. So you'd give him the $2 and then he'd give you more than $2 worth of change back.
That's
so
right,
you've now been paid to eat your luxurious lunch at the cost of the school. Yes, correct.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That's pretty rebellious. I mean, I've told the story. I feel like I don't need to tell it again necessarily, but I was suspended before by hacking into. Well, we didn't really hack into. We guessed the password of some kid and told his mum.
Most of hacking is just guessing,
drugs
Nelson.
And wasn't coming home. So look. when you say it out loud, sounds far worse than how funny it was in our heads.
Than you thought it was at the time.
Yeah. But I think, like, in terms of rebelliousness, when I was like in year 11, I took literature, and I feel like this unique skill of being able to bluff my way through literature, because literature is like, you know, when you're doing assignments and stuff, it can be interpretive about like pieces of work and things like that. And I was quite good at like bullcrapping on paper. So my teacher, I'm certain, didn't really like me because I didn't particularly listen in class. But she would have to kind of give me these like decent grades because I always submitted some okay work. I even remember one time there was this girl in my class, and she got, I think, a lower grade than me. And she was so angry because she just knew in class that I just dicked around and like barely read the material. And I was like,
because she knows deep down that you didn't earn it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But I think one of the times that comes to mind where I was quite rebellious in this class was some of my friends were like, I don't know, out doing something. And I think we had that idea, you know, where I feel like every kid tries to do this at least once, where you're like, oh, I've got the period off, I'll come in and say the principal needs to see, or something like that. You know, it's like, Nelson's needed elsewhere.
Yeah.
It's
a classic.
So like, okay, cool. So my friend did that, which probably just seemed so stupid in the first place. And so I walked out of the class and then was talking to them for a bit, and it was the last period of the day. And my friends were like, well, we're just going to go now. And I was like, okay. I was like, oh, I left my bag in class. So what I did was I went back to the class. I opened the door. I did like the Pink Panther kind of sneak in, but like very obvious that I'm pretending to sneak.
Nelson's here.
And then I just picked up my bag, turned around, and then walked out of the class in the same fashion. And the teacher just kind of watched me and rolled her eyes, and like that was it. I was like, but school is very educational.
Stick to school.
Stay in school. Don't skip out.
I mean, actually, no, don't stay at school now. Once the pandemic is over, stay back in school.
Stay back in school.
For now, learn from home.
Yeah. Here's a life lesson. If you don't stay in school, you'll end up doing a podcast that you regret every day of your life.
And people, out of spite, will spread the podcast further and further, gaining more and more listeners.
They'll listen. Ugh.
Oh, my God.
Anyway.
The audacity.
Exactly. I have another one here. This is from Amy. She says, greetings, gentlemen. First up, huge thank you for keeping me entertained during these weird lockdown times. I've been saving each weekly episode for my daily freedom walks and then wasting countless hours browsing Reddit in between. Nice. Second, and this is not a criticism.
Whoa. I don't like where this is going one bit. That is the equivalent to I'm not racist, but.
Yeah, that's right.
The only one thing comes after that sentence.
Yeah. I found it funny that a few episodes ago you were talking about how awful you found the idea of reconnecting with old colleagues / high school people on Facebook, and then what should appear in my inbox but a plug for Cambo's new podcast.
Cancel movie report. Sorry.
It
had
was
to get that out there.
Pleasant surprise, since apparently our last message was discussing the finale of Breaking Bad in 2013. God damn it, Cambo. Lucky for you, I like both random reconnections and the podcasts, both. So thanks for the recommendation.
Just quickly on this, I just want to state to Amy and the listeners at large, our point largely, I think, was like people you went to high school with that you weren't really friends with or anything. But me and Amy were quite good friends.
Yeah, we were friends with Amy. Yeah. We're talking about like kind of weird distant thing.
I would say it's quite fun when old friendships reconnect. But we're talking about the random connections that you have via people. But Amy, I was under the impression that we were quite good friends.
Well,
so
apparently
the fact
not,
that you're
Cambo.
like, why is this random dude I used to work with messaging me? Makes me think that maybe I misinterpreted our friendship.
You're just a distant acquaintance, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like not enough time has passed as well since we've like worked with Amy. So
2013. Apparently.
if it was like an extra, yeah, I feel like if there was an extra like 10 to 15 years, then maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, my question this week is about random subreddits. The other day I was browsing, and one of the suggested subreddits on my homepage was Tucked in Fishies. Initially, I was wary as it sounded vaguely dirty. It does sound a little bit dirty.
It does.
But turns out it's a page
Especially
full of
because
photos.
men have a thing called the fisherman tuck, in which I don't know if the ladies know about this, but it's a way to hide your erection.
Yeah.
In which you tuck the erection into the belt or to the elastic of your pants.
Is
so
that
it's less
called a
obvious.
fisherman's tuck? I have never heard of it called that before.
It's called a fisherman's tuck.
I've heard of it as just being called that weird thing that guys do.
You know that thing that every guy does? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Here you go. Urban Dictionary. A way of concealing an erection by pulling the penis up and tucking it into the waistband of trousers. Fisherman's tuck.
Okay. Well, learn something new every day.
Yeah.
Anyway, but turns out it's a page full of photos of people's pet fishes looking all cozy in their little houses in their fish tanks. Who knew? What is the most random subreddit you've accidentally stumbled across or been suggested? Why do you think Reddit thinks I'd like to look at people's pet fish? Stay safe inside and keep up the good work, Amy. The most random one I think that I've ever come across, which I did mention on the podcast, was We Eat Bees.
Yeah.
That was just the strangest, most bizarre concept in the world. I ended up getting contacted by, I think, the guy who started that, because obviously I tagged him and said, oh, we used it on your podcast, or something like that.
Yeah.
And then there ended up being like developments where he turned out to be like a bit crazy, and he tried to turn the We Eat Bees subreddit into like Pepsi Man subreddit, and there was just these memes about Pepsi Man. And honestly, I actually love this. Like there was this statement made from one of the other mods that was like, we've kicked out the originator because he was ruining this subreddit and it wasn't about We Eat Bees anymore. But you know what? I totally disagree. I still, for some reason, I actually think I unfollowed it just the other day, but I had still followed it for so long. And this subreddit has no good content. What happens is somebody's done a post about bees on a different subreddit. That gets reposted to the We Eat Bees subreddit, and somebody says, tasty lunch. And that's like it. It's the same shit. It's so boring. I actually think the genius behind it, where he was like trying to turn it into this weird Pepsi Man thing, was like he knew that the We Eat Bees idea was going to die down and just be a boring subreddit. He was trying to like launch it into something else, and
it's similar. I think everyone has those subreddits that they joined as a joke and then have not yet like unfollowed.
Yeah.
So I remember at the time, just before the Breaking Bad finale, you had to pick like who you think was going to be the king of Westeros in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So it's like Jon for the throne or whatnot.
Yeah.
I still follow that subreddit for some reason, and just every now and then it pops up, and I'm like, oh yeah, why do I still follow this? But I haven't yet unfollowed it.
Mine's the exact same, Cambo, but I get when there is that occasional post, I get the sweet sounds of success because I guessed correctly.
You did, much to the mocking of Stacey and myself. You picked Bran.
Not just you, everybody. Everybody mocked me. And I was like, no, I think he will.
So what I've just done is I've scrolled down Reddit until it got to the subreddits it's recommending me.
Okay.
So one of them seems to be a foreign language version of AMA. The description of which I don't understand because it's in a different language.
Okay.
It's also recommending me r/non-murder mysteries, described as mysteries minus murder.
Yeah.
And age gap relationships. Okay. So there you go. They're the ones it thinks I'm interested in.
Brilliant.
Yep.
I feel like Reddit really has a hold of who you are as a person.
Yeah, I like mysteries, hate murder, and Stacey is 1 year older than me, so I do often refer to age gap relationships.
I just remember one other one that I love as a subreddit It's not going to make too much sense to everybody else, but there's a character in Dota 2, and his name is Nyx, Nyx, and all he says is Nyx, 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 Nyx. And there is a subreddit called Nyx, 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 and all the posts just say Nyx. There is nobody comments anything else. The post contents are just Nyx. The comments just Nyx, and people kind of like phrase them as if it's like in context. Like they have a bit of a heading that says Nyx, then they'll put a couple of paragraphs, but all it says is Nyx 3 times, and then somebody will write edit Nyx, 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 Nyx. Like it's just the dumbest idea, but it's brilliant.
How many people are in this subreddit is the other important factor. If it's just like 10 psychopaths, that's weird.
2,700.
That's too many.
and based on like the Dota subreddit, that's probably a decent percentage of people, honestly. But yeah, that's a really great one as well. For like I will never unfollow that subreddit for just the occasional times where someone, like the last post was 19 days ago, and before that a month. Like just every now and again I'm just going to get a Nyx post pop up, and it'll be great. It'll make my day.
That's good. I like that one.
But that's it for the episode. Thank God. If you would like to write into us, like Amy or Zachary, thank you for writing in, Amy and Zachary. You can do so. Reddit podcast, READIT podcast @gmail.com. You can also reach us on Facebook, Twitter, and our subreddit. They're all READIT podcast. We'd also appreciate, well, we wouldn't appreciate it, but I mean, you can if you want, rate and subscribe to the podcast.
Yep. Remember, rate us 5 stars, but can try and convince our friend Andrew to shave his head.
Please do.
We can't stress that enough.
Even just one would be great, honestly. Like just one that we can show and be like, look, this guy.
We got to chat to him this weekend. We'd love to bring it up.
Yeah. Oh my God. And it's going to start with a shaving head. The next week, we're going to ask you if you can encourage him to get a tattoo.
We're going to fundamentally ruin his life bit by bit.
Yeah, and you can help. So, yes, thank you for that. Is there anything else? No? Is that it?
Yeah, rate the show, leave us a review, subscribe, get in contact with us, readitpodcast@gmail.com, etc., etc.
I think that's it. I forgot how to end the podcast. All right, thanks for listening, and we will read you later.